Welcome to this week's virtual Drasha. This week we have the incredible trilogy Parshas Eikev, and this parsha, like so much of Chumash Devarim, contains a number of different aspects. First, there's the historical review. Moshe Rabbeinu reviews the events of the last 40 years in an effort to get the people, this new generation, who's going to go into Eretz Yisrael, to learn from the past, to learn what went well and repeat it, and to learn what went so terribly wrong, and hopefully, Emir Hashem, to avoid it. There's also logistical conversations. Moshe Rabbeinu prepares Klal Yisrael for what it's going to mean to enter into the land, the battles they're going to have to face, the adversity they're going to have to face, the difficulties they're going to have to face, the mistakes and the missteps they're going to make, but ultimately, again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to remain in our corner no matter what. And Moshe Rabbeinu tells us something fascinating. This is in Parak Zayin, Pasuk of Beis, chapter 7, verse 22. V'nashal Hashem al-kecha zagayim el mipanecha ma'at ma'at. Literally, Hashem will clear out your enemies from in front of you, a little bit at a time, ma'at ma'at, small amount at a time. Lo suchal kalo samaher. You cannot come into a sweeping and decisive quick victory. Pentirba alecha chayas asada, lest the animals of the field overtake you. Okay, on the most basic al-pashut pshat is Moshe Rabbeinu preparing them. This is not going to be a quick and decisive victory in Eretz Yisrael. It's going to take time. There are multiple nations. There are going to be multiple wars, multiple campaigns. But slowly but surely, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will deliver you victories. But it's not going to be quick and decisive. It's ma'at ma'at, a little bit at a time. Now, why? Why? So Moshe Rabbeinu says, because otherwise, if you defeat all of your enemies at once, and it's going to take time then to settle the land, so it's going to give the wild animals an opportunity to kind of come out, right? The animals are kept in check when there is a human population, but if you defeat all of your enemies quickly, you're going to be overrun by wild animals. Okay, so the obvious question with this is, so what does that mean? In other words, our whole existence is a miracle. Everything about Klal Yisrael is a miracle. You know, as Moshe Rabbeinu was talking to them, remember again, man is falling down from the heavens at their doorstep every single day. There's a be'er, there's a well that's following them in the desert to sustain millions of people. It was in the schus of Miriam, now it's in the schus of Moshe and Aaron. So like, what is this? What does this mean? And they were first of all bothered by this same idea that somehow Moshe says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give you a quick and decisive victory, but, and what's the but? The chayas asad, the animals are going to be a problem, right? So we have a wildlife issue. That's what's preventing the quick and decisive victory for Klal Yisrael. So again, we know under Yoshua it takes 7 years of conquering the land, and then even then the land wasn't fully conquered. 7 years of going ahead and dividing up the land. But what's the pshat? Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to highlight to Klal Yisrael that the campaign for Eretz Yisrael is going to be slow. Right? See, on one hand, there's a guarantee of victory. The Nashal Hashem al-kecha zagayim el mipanecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to help you overcome all of your enemies in the land, but it's going to be ma'at ma'at. It's going to be very slowly. And you can't, whatever it is, you can't go ahead and have a quick and decisive victory. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, says something so beautiful. The Rebbe says in Likutei Halachos, he says, Tzrichen lichbosh kidushas haaretz ma'at ma'at. So when we translate the words and then we'll try to understand what the Rebbe is really saying. The only way to truly conquer the holiness of Eretz Yisrael is ma'at ma'at, a little bit at a time. Legaresh hara shebechovlim shehem bechinas haklipos v'shiva amamin hamonim Eretz Yisrael legarsham ma'at ma'at. Ki ein lanu koach letakim kol hachovlim bevas achos. The Rebbe says the way it works in Eretz Yisrael is the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, the way it works, the way it's almost like pre-programmed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is that you can't flip it instantaneously. The land was buried under many layers of Tumah as a result of the nations who had lived there, as a result of the nations who were there. And as such, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, you can't transform the land instantaneously. The Kedusha is there, but the Kedusha was buried under many layers of impurity, and it's going to take you time to be able to flip it. It's going to take you time to be able to change. It's going to take you time to conquer it. And I think what the Rebbe is saying is like this. Eretz Yisrael is not simply a land. Eretz Yisrael is not simply a destination. Eretz Yisrael is not only our beautiful, magnificent, spiritually luminescent, ancestral homeland, eternal homeland. Eretz Yisrael is also a concept. And the concept of Eretz Yisrael, the concept of promised land, resonates very strongly within our lives. Rabbi Nachman speaks about this often, that all of us are trying to make our way to Eretz Yisrael. In fact, Rabbi Nachman has a statement: "L'chol makom shani holich, ani holich li Eretz Yisrael." Wherever I'm going to Eretz Yisrael. What does that mean? So, of course, on a basic level, as a people, wherever we're going, we know where our destination is. Right now, many of us may be in way stations of galus, of diaspora, but our destination is clear. Our destination is Eretz Yisrael. That is the only destination for us. How long we get there, when we get there, how we're going to get there, okay, those are all different variables. But Eretz Yisrael is also a concept. And the concept of Eretz Yisrael is your promised land. And what is your promised land? Your promised land is the destination of your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. What do you want out of life? What do you want to accomplish from life? What do you want for yourself? Who do you want to be? How do you want to make an impact? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of family do you want to create? What kind of marriage do you want to build? What kind of friendships? What is your relationship between yourself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu? All those things, all those goals, those dreams, those aspirations, that's your Eretz Yisrael. And Rabbi Nachman says, understand, Eretz Yisrael cannot be conquered quickly. Eretz Yisrael takes time. And I think what the Rebbe is trying to highlight to us, and ultimately what Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to highlight to Klal Yisrael, was a fundamental shift. Incredible things, meaningful things, take time. You can be successful. If you put your mind to it, you'll be successful. Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to help you. If the goal is noble, if the dream is holy, if the aspiration is emes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help you get there. But, and he'll even clear out the obstacles. But, ma'at. It takes time. It takes time. And Rabbi Nachman says something so beautiful. He says, this is why Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to lead us into Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe says Moshe Rabbeinu is the man of instantaneous results. Moshe Rabbeinu is the man who makes things happen, and he makes them happen. Think about this for just a moment, right? Moshe Rabbeinu took us out of Mitzrayim. And then 49 days later, 7 weeks, nothing. We're standing at the base of Mount Sinai, Har Sinai, Sinaitic revelation. We hear HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we kiviyachol see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Incredible. That is instantaneous, transformative, cathartic change. That's incredible, right? Moshe Rabbeinu goes up 40 days, 40 nights. That's nothing. It's nothing. Comes back down with the whole body of Torah. Then we sin of the ego. Okay, the process takes another 3 months. But then the Moshe Rabbeinu comes down on Shivas Tammuz, on the 7th day of the Tammuz, breaks the luchos, comes back down with the second set of Yom Kippur. That's fast. Instantaneous doesn't have to mean in a second. Instantaneous just means in a short amount of time. Moshe Rabbeinu's whole mahos, his gestalt, his essence, was the ability to affect transformative change quickly. That was Moshe. It says Rabbi Nachman, that is exactly why Moshe Rabbeinu could not be the leader who brought us into Eretz Yisrael. Because Eretz Yisrael is gradual. Eretz Yisrael is slow. Eretz Yisrael is ma'at. Eretz Yisrael, both the actual conquering and taking possession of the land, as well as the ideological Eretz Yisrael of our lives, the goals and aspirations, it's ma'at. It takes time. It just takes time. And Moshe Rabbeinu preparing Klal Yisrael, he's saying, Chavra, you're used to a life of instantaneous results. You're used to, like we said before, every single day the sun comes down, boom, it's at your doorstep. You need water, just walk to the well. Whatever else you need, the cloud is here, the fire is here, whatever. It's all like the desert. The desert life is instant gratification. Whatever you need, you have it, and you have it now. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, my dear children, you are now entering into a different stage of life. It's Eretz Yisrael life. In Eretz Yisrael life, both geographic Eretz Yisrael life and spiritual ideal Eretz Yisrael life is governed by one simple mantra. If you set your mind to be successful, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will remove the obstacles. That's V'nashal Hashem Lokecha Sagayim Al Mipanecha. Hashem will remove the obstacles. But the mantra for the actualization of geographic and idealistic Eretz Yisrael is Ma'at. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. And don't be frustrated. See, what Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to highlight to us is It's such a profound lesson for us, is that so often we kind of operate under this mistaken notion that if something is good and something is meaningful and something is meant to be, then it should happen quickly. And if I run into delays or roadblocks or obstacles in some way, there must be something wrong. Meanwhile, that's just not the way the world works. Even the most beautiful and holy things like Eretz Yisrael are still governed by Ma'at Ma'at Chosh Baruch, and I think it's by design. Chosh Baruch wants us to work. How do you know if you're really committed to your goals, your dreams, and aspirations? How do you know if you're really committed to ideological and actual art? So how do you know if you're willing to stay in it for the long game? If at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I'm willing to do this as long as it happens chick-chock right now, you're not committed. You're not committed. But if you're willing to stick with your Eretz Yisrael, even though it's ma'at ma'at, that's commitment. And this was the lesson that Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching us. And this is an incredible and overwhelming life lesson, both for the days in which we find ourselves. More than 300 days into this war, when again, almost our national mindset was, okay, fine, Eretz Yisrael, Israel has battles, but how long is it going to last? A couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe a few months at most. And as we coming up on a year, overwhelming to think about that. It's important for us to gird ourselves with this meaningful lesson and to understand that's how Eretz Yisrael works. It's ma'at ma'at. It's ma'at ma'at, and the greater the challenge, the greater the adversity, often the longer the timeline and the more time it takes. And we can't lose hope, and we can't despair, and we can't allow our proper hashkafas and our proper desire for victory to become blurred even by the fatigue or by anything else, or by all the noise that often happens on the side. And our precious hostages who we daven for, again, there is no greater mitzvah than Pidyon Shuin, the redeeming of captives. And sometimes it just takes time. And we can't despair. Even if it's ma'at ma'at, we can't despair. And in our own personal lives, Chavra, how many of us have beautiful things, beautiful goals and dreams and aspirations, and our own personal Eretz Yisraels that we've started on. But then it became a bit of a laborious process and a protracted timeline. And suddenly again, it's just taking so much more time than I thought. And so what ends up happening, either we actively shelve it or we kind of just let it languish on the side. I'm not fully hanging it up, but I'm also not really working on it. And we hear the voice of Moshe Rabbeinu saying, no, if you've chosen an Eretz Yisrael for yourself, if you have a goal, a dream, an aspiration, or maybe there's something that I want to change inside of myself, but it's so hard, and it's such a process, and it's such an avoda, and it's so complicated. Moshe Rabbeinu whispers in our ear, if you have an Eretz Yisrael for yourself, number one, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to help you remove the obstacles. He will help you. If the goal and the aspiration is noble and beautiful, He will help you. But it's going to be ma'at ma'at. It takes time. Great things in life take time, and don't despair because there is a prolonged timeline. Roll your sleeves up, work on your patience, work on your endurance, and get where you need to get to. Moshe Rabbeinu says, we lived in generations of instantaneous results. That was the Dor HaMidbar. That was a one-time thing. But now that you're getting ready to go into Eretz Yisrael, geographic Eretz Yisrael, ideological Eretz Yisrael, spiritual Eretz Yisrael, aspirational Eretz Yisrael, have your vision, have your goals, and be ready to take the time to make them happen. We should be Zochim Eretz Hashem to see the actualization of all of our forms of Eretz Yisrael. B'mehera b'yameinu, but we should be Zochim to have the patience to make it to the finish line. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.